So, an obstacle many people face when trying to talk with other people is that they cannot find their words. And this is an absolutely mortal problem because if you can't find your words, you can't speak and you can't think clearly. And many people think that this is actually a problem that they have with other people, a problem with social relationships. And that's not true. That is very clearly not true when the solution is so evident. The reason you can't find your words, the reason you stutter, and the reason you stress during conversation, you can't have a good flow of conversation, is because you don't have enough vocabulary. This is especially true when you're speaking languages that are foreign to you. But this is especially the case, and in my opinion, very, very important with your native language. How many words do you know in your native language? I recently discovered that I probably know like 2,500 words in Romanian. That is not good. I'm going to have a lot of trouble in conversation. And I know what you think. Oh, 1,000, 2,500 words. That is so much. That is so much. I can communicate so many different things with that. You cannot. Because if you look at an object, do not know how it is called, you can't communicate about it. You can't speak about it. So, your loss of vocabulary is a loss in social relationships that further on, it's like a spiral. You don't know vocabulary, you can't talk to people, and because you can't talk to people clearly, thoroughly, without stuttering or looking for words, your success kind of diminishes. That is insane. Not knowing vocabulary, not having enough vocabulary for which you can speak with, is criminal. It is destructive. So, how do you expand your vocabulary? How do you prevent yourself from falling down into this pit of failure? Well, I got introduced to this strategy by a YouTuber called Park Notes. He's like a graduate student of philosophy. He graduated at the University of Philosophy. He teaches people how to think, study, and think more deeply. He's on YouTube. His most recent video, at the time of recording this, is a notebook to help you expand your vocabulary. A dictionarius. This is my dictionarius right here. It's a dictionarius that I made for studying Spanish. Because I do think that not knowing enough words in Spanish has very clearly hurt my communication skills in Spanish. So, how do you, whatever your native language is, Hindi, English, goddamn Romanian, Spanish, French, Italian, whatever, build dictionaries and read really good books, because I know if you're watching this channel, you're probably reading very, very good books. And the words that you don't know, write them in your dictionaries, the words in the language that you are studying. And that's how you expand your vocabulary. You expand your vocabulary by exposing yourself to new words, dangerous words, mysterious foreign words, and writing them down with a definition, maybe even an origin, and if you want to be really smart about it, an etymology as well. So, you're probably thinking, great, I know what to do. I can pick up a book and write all the vocabulary I want. Do not stop there. It is nowhere near enough to do that. If you want to expand your vocabulary more, gather words that you find in everyday conversation. Because if you find them in everyday conversation, those are kind of the most important words. The other day, for Spanish, I was reading goddamn Don Quixote de la Mancha, and this book has like 13,000 different words. It is insanity. But a lot of those words aren't really used in like day-to-day goddamn Spanish conversation. You're not gonna use the word rocin in a in a day-to-day conversation. You're not gonna talk about a weak horse in everyday conversation, day-to-day conversation. But you might talk about that object that you do not know the name of, but that you see every single day. Isn't that interesting? So when you hear a word that you do not know, said by your mother, by your father, anyone of in your family, by your coworker, write it. Write it in your dictionaries. Write the origin and the etymology, because you want a deep understanding of that word. So, how do you use your dictionaries to actually improve your life? How do you better your communication skills using the dictionaries? The only way to remember your vocabulary. Let me be very honest. I hate commonplace books. I hate notebooks. I hate them. Why? Because you write everything in them and it stays here. Building a second brain is bullshit, because the only thing that really matters, the only thing that you can always carry around with you, is this one, the first brain. So why would you want a second one? Just to put shit in there that you can't remember yourself because you're too lazy to study them? It's really ridiculous. But for this purpose, it is a pretty good strategy. So look at your dictionaries, find a couple of words that are interesting, and use them. Use like 5 words a day. Currently, I'm going pretty intense on this, so I'm gathering like 10 words a day, 10 different words. But I don't think you can really use 10 words. Maybe if you're very, very ambitious to use 10 words in a day regularly in that day. But, for starters, start small, as I always say, as everybody has always said. Get 5 words from your dictionaries and use each one of them 3 times in the day. Interesting words that are important to you. Not like rothin, not like weak horse. No, important words. What does that mean? What can I call that person? This is a really great compliment. What can you do? What can you do with those words to actually better your communication skills? And after you've done this, you will most likely see a very, very clear improvement in your social interaction, because the level of value that you get from just knowing a couple more words, like 100 more words, is insane. 2,500 is not enough. Your goal, you can set your own goal. My goal is 5,000 by the end of my life, I think. But if you know 5,000 words, if you know 3,000 words, you're a lot better equipped for day-to-day life than the average human. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.